Hello and welcome to today's episode of Unleash Your Inner Goddess. You're getting a guest episode today and I'm super excited to share it with you. And my guest on today's show is Pippa Tanko, and she's a personal brand photographer, and she helps small creative brands leverage their personal branding to upscale and increase their profitability. And she wants you to know that personal branding is not just about the outside perception of you, but more importantly about how you see yourself. And she helps creatives step into that best version of themselves, which you know I'm all about, to create powerful, confident brand photography that not only shows them as the elite industry expert, but helps them actually become one. I can't wait to get into this episode. I know you're going to love it. Let's dive in. And here she is, the awesome Pippa Tanko.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. I'm going to dive straight in because, I love to get into the thick of things. I would love for you to tell us what encouraged you to start your business and what's the best thing about your brand photography business.
So I've been a photographer for 17 years, believe it or not, and I've worked in lots of genres of photography throughout that time. But I guess brand photography really resonated with me because of my own journey and my own experience in my business. So I started doing brand photography because I saw what an impact it can have on how you see yourself. And it's not only about the outside perception of you, but also about your self-belief. And when I saw photos of myself, as the business owner I was striving to become, only then did I start actually stepping into that persona and becoming the business owner I was striving to become. So for me, in my journey, that was incredibly powerful. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I do brand photography, personal brand photography for creative business owners, and just help them leverage their personal brand and get people to engage with them on a more personal level so that they can share their story and share who they are so that they can connect on a deeper level.
And that's it, isn't it? It's not just, hey, here's a product or service I'm offering, please buy from me. It's come and get to know me and see if we're compatible as, a business client relationship, or, if you're better off somewhere else, because let's face it, I've had people come to me who, for one reason or another, we've not gelled. And
absolutely,
I don't want to be 3 months into a contract with them thinking, oh gosh, I've got to go speak to this client I don't like. And likewise, they don't want to be speaking to me.
And I think the important thing, absolutely. And I think the important thing is that it's as important to repel the businesses that you don't want to work with as it is to attract the ones that you really connect with, because you as a business owner don't want to work with clients that don't want to work with you, or don't gel with you, or are difficult to work with, or, so it's as important to attract the right people as it is to kind of repel the people that you don't want to work with, because you don't want people that don't want to work with you.
No, completely. And that's it. And if you can get some of that across in your branding, that's going to really shout to your ideal client, your dream client, and switch off those that are less interested. It's going to make that, that filtering system that you've got going on about who is a good client for you and who is, things are going to jar with and things are going to be difficult with.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make a world of difference, isn't it? In feeling like you're stepping into your purpose as your business owner, but also feeling good every time you hop on a call with a client, or you send an email to a client, or you send a product out in the post. Like, you like the connections that you've built there.
Absolutely. And I think it's also about actually just being yourself, and so that you do connect on that more emotional level and you're not trying to be someone that you're not, because people will be attracted to you more if you're yourself and if you're authentically you and you're not pretending to be something you're not, because then you'll actually get there and they'll realize that you're not that person anyway. So, it's making sure that you start to get comfortable with being yourself and letting that shine through and realizing that that's what people are interested in, not this version of yourself that you think everybody is wanting to know.
Mm-hmm. Completely. And I know that a lot of people can often get hung up as well with, especially brand photography, like having themselves in front of the camera and, you know, whatever hang-ups they have. I mean, I had some brand photography done last year, and even as a mindset coach, it's taken me a lot of self-coaching to, you know, go and get those done and be in front of the camera. I mean, my dad was a wedding photographer, right, when I was growing up. So he had a camera in my face, video recorders in my face from us probably birth, to be fair, like, or from when I can remember. And I used to hate it, you know, and you get to that teenage stage and everyone goes through that, you know, awkward teenage phase. And I just didn't want a camera anywhere near me. And I would not smile. I would turn away, hand would be in front of the face. And it's taken me a lot to get past that.
Absolutely.
To the point where I'm happy to share photos of myself. But then stood in front of a professional photographer, as it were, and, you know, trying to incorporate all these wonderful things about me and the brand and how I want to come across, and even like down to the brand colors and things. It's like, okay, well, I'm not, I don't know, I've got a big spot, or I'm not where I want to be weight wise, or, you know, does this outfit look good? You know, am I showing myself off in the best light? I think a lot of these things can stop people even
contemplating
sending an email to a photographer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think
so how do you get around that with your clients?
Well, I think it is incredibly difficult. I think a lot of this stems from when we were younger and we were told, look, we don't show off, or you're being a show off, you know. And so you don't want to shout about yourself. You don't want to say, hey, look at me, everybody. But then, as you say, there's also the aspects of we don't like the way we sound, for example, or we don't like the way we look, or we're not the ideal weight. But I promise you, if you look back 10 years from now and you look at those photos, you're going to go, God, I look good. Look how thin I was. Look how young I was, you know. And so I think it's just getting people to relax. I know that everybody who comes to me hates having their photo taken. I'd say like 1% of my clients come to me really excited because they love having their photo taken. And I myself also hated having my photo taken. I also come from a family of photographers. And my cousin, who's 20 years older than me, used to use me as a model, and I used to get fed up with always having my photo taken, and I hated having it taken. But now I have quarterly shoots for my own brand, and I absolutely love it. I have so much fun. And I think if you can do it once and see the benefits, because I think sometimes there's something to be said for seeing yourself once you've stepped into your persona, and I know that you call it that, your goddess, once you stepped into that persona, but seeing yourself in the images in that persona is incredibly powerful.
It really is.
I think sometimes only when you see yourself as the 6, 7, 8-figure business owner that you're striving to become, will you actually step into that and be able to become that. And I think that is very powerful when it comes to brand photography. But getting people past that hurdle. And I think there's definitely a difference between men and women as well. I think women are much more likely to take the plunge and have their photo taken than men.
Really?
Which in my experience. But yeah, I think if you can get past that, kind of get over yourself and not worry about it and just go for it, I think you will have that edge over your competitors who are not doing it and not stepping into the light. But we are seeing more and more brand photography, you know, but it's whether that brand photography is authentic, whether that brand photography is actually talking to your ideal client, whether it's kind of shouting about your values and your beliefs. I think that's incredibly important in showing not only your personality, but what you believe in and how that is then shown throughout your brand.
Mm-hmm. Would you be so kind as to give our listeners an example of that?
In what way? Sorry,
in bringing sort of your values into your brand photography.
Yeah, I mean, I think sustainability is such a big one at the moment. You know, everybody's trying to be more sustainable, but I think there are a lot of businesses out there that are trying to step into that sustainable because it's cool, right? It's cool to be sustainable. So let's say we're sustainable, but actually you need to show how you are sustainable. What are you actually doing? What are your beliefs around sustainability? You actually have to believe it to show it. I've been working with a jewelry brand lately, and she has sustainable jewelry that she brings out from different countries in the world. And so she's done lots of imagery kind of behind the scenes, going out to the locations, visiting the jewelry makers and showing the process behind to show the belief in the sustainability. So I think it's really important that you are genuine in whatever you're trying to portray. It's not just about saying in the text, oh, hey, we're a sustainable brand. Like, what are you actually doing that's sustainable, and how are you showing that through your brand imagery?
Yeah, completely. And as you were talking about that, I was reminded of, and I can't source it right now, I will try for the show notes, but it was a company that had purposely made their brand, the packaging, sort of like that cardboardy natural color. So on the front of that, you think, oh, okay, natural, that means, sustainable, that means organic, that means whatever, eco. But actually, when somebody delved into the practices of the business and the way these things were made, etc., it was not in the slightest bit eco or sustainable or organic.
Or
and
organic,
I thought, goodness
exactly.
me, I mean, obviously they've realized this and it's all strategic, but they're deceiving the customers.
Yes.
Which I know is slightly the opposite of what we've just spoke about here, but it just reminded me.
Absolutely. But I think customers will very quickly find out about that. And then once they feel deceived, they're not going to be loyal customers after that. You've broken that trust. So what you're wanting to show is the actual authenticity in your beliefs and your values and what you kind of believe in, rather than just following the next trend. And there are a lot of businesses out there that are doing the sustainability incredibly well. They are following it. But it's just making sure that if that's what you are, one of the beliefs you want your company or your brand to be known for, is to actually make sure that you've got this proof behind the pudding, if that makes sense.
Completely.
So...
And I think that's it as well. Those people that align with what you're saying are going to be more, magnetized towards your offer over somebody else that perhaps doesn't align with their values and what they believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the whole picture when you do brand photography. It's showing those beliefs and those values, but then also bringing in your personality, what you like, what you don't like. It's painting that whole picture so people feel like they really get to know you as a person, because that's where the connection is. It's not in how you look, what outfit you've got on, what earrings you're wearing that day, whether your hair looks good, whether you've had your roots done, things like that.
That's it. You still show up as the awesome business owner you are, whether you've got your hair in a messy bun and you need to wash it, or you've just come out of the salon.
Exactly.
Your value doesn't change.
No, exactly.
But for me, having those lovely polished pictures that showed me as fun and caring and connected was really helpful for me on a personal level, because I felt, I can share these pictures, they look professional, but I know that my worth didn't change the minute I received those photos. I was still, and I show up, I'm just in a regular t-shirt, I've got my hair scraped back, I've got no ounce of makeup on, and that's how I roll 90% of the time. And although my hair was nice on the brand photography, I made sure I had very subtle makeup, because that is me. I'm not dolled up to the nines all the time. But it's that it makes you feel good.
I think it's about stepping into that. It does. And I think it's about stepping into the best version of yourself. So it's not about, I've had people come to me and say, I want to have a photo of myself in front of a Ferrari at a lush hotel. So I'm attracting these like high flying customers. But if that's not you, it's never going to work. So, I think sometimes it's just step into the best version of yourself. Show yourself as the business owner you're trying to become. So show yourself where you want to be in 5 years or in a year's time, because then you'll get there and you'll attract the clients that will help you get there. But that's not by pretending to be someone you're not.
Completely agree there. And that's it, and I touched on like how I felt going into my brand shoot, and I'd booked it a couple of months in advance, and I was like, you know what, it'd be nice if I lost a stone, I'd feel more confident. I'm not doing it for the camera, I'm doing it for me, sort of thing. And lo and behold, it rallied around very fast. I had not lost an ounce of weight, and I still went, and I still felt good, and the pictures are awesome, and I'm well overdue another shoot now, but I've lost about 3 stones since then. I still look at those and think, God, you look like a badass. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah, and I think that's the important thing. That's what you you gain as a business owner for doing it, not only what other people see, but also how you see yourself. And I think even for myself, I don't know about you, but when I had my first ever brand shoot, there were maybe 2 or 3 out of like 100 images that I thought, these are the 3 I'm going to use. And then slowly over time, I mean, some of them I'm being completely stupid. I'm pulling funny faces, acting like a rock star, doing crazy things. But that is actually part of my personality. So now those are the images that I actually use. And those are the ones that get engagement, the ones of me being myself, being silly, pulling funny faces, and just... Now I will use any of the images from one of my shoots, and I actually do shoots quarterly so that I've constantly got fresh content. And from someone who hated sharing images of myself, I'm now plastering them all over everywhere.
But the thing is, though, that's the difference, isn't it? Like if I post a static, I don't know, let's say a quote that I have made up in Canva and I put a really useful text with it, it gets engagement. But you post a picture of yourself on point with your branding with the same content, it's getting a shit ton more interaction. Like people want to see people.
They do, and people are nosy. They want to see behind the scenes. They want to see what you've got going on. So it's not just about like these beautiful pictures of yourself, but actually showing what you do on a daily basis. For some service-based businesses, this is more difficult than for others. But even if it's just sitting chatting to clients on a Zoom call, or it's showing that actually you are human and you sit in your kitchen or your living room, or it's showing that kind of space that you're in, and so that people can understand you a little bit more, rather than trying to be something that you're not and be somewhere that you're not. So I think it's important just to let people be nosy and see who you are as a person.
And that's it. They don't always need to see the polished end result.
No, exactly.
Because they might be sat there thinking, oh, I can never reach that level. That person is obviously doing something far different than what I'm able to do. Am I really cut out for this? Am I da-da-da? And then that sort of can hold them back because you're only showing this perfect, polished version of your business when actual fact.
Exactly. And that's where this imposter syndrome comes in as well, is that it plays to that, because you're seeing all these polished, perfect images and you're thinking, oh, well, I'm not good enough for that, So it's about making sure that your customers are seeing you as human and normal, as well as, I know a lot of people it's interesting because a lot of people say, oh, no, I love taking selfies of myself, but I'll never have a personal brand shoot. And that's really interesting because I think you hold all the control when you're doing a selfie. So while selfies really have a place, especially in social media, you are just showing one side of yourself and you're not actually showing your connection, because when you have someone else taking a photo of you, you're actually connecting with another person and showing that. And I know from my own images, because I'll set up shoots on my own where I'm holding a trigger in my hand so that I can take a quick photo because I want to tell a specific story on social media. But the engagement, the light in my eyes is completely different. It's not real. It's not authentic. So I don't do that. Maybe for the odd specific post or purpose, but generally I prefer to have someone else take the photos that I'm actually engaging with.
That's really interesting, actually. Yeah. And you've noticed that difference because so I obviously take pictures of myself too for social media and whatnot. And I remember once, before I'd booked in my brand shoot, trying to fake a laugh so I could get like a happy laughing sort of, and I would take the picture and I'm like, goodness me, this is ridiculous. And then I was with the photographer and she said something really funny, and obviously I naturally laughed. And she snapped these pictures, and
those are the ones, right? Those are the ones you think, oh, that's cool. Yeah. Those are the photos I want to see, because again, that authentic kind of connection is coming through.
That was it,
and it's not contrived or posed. Yeah. It's natural, and I think that's kind of where you need to be. I know a lot of my clients, it takes them a little while to warm up on their shoot. So when I'm going on a shoot with a client, I'll always start with the one idea I don't think is going to work very well, because that will be the images that just gives them time to kind of warm up,
to settle in.
settle and get used to me and, how I work, and me getting used to them and what makes them tick and what makes them laugh, because sometimes you'll get on a shoot and someone's really awkward and uncomfortable, and you have to start to read them and understand what works for them. Is over the top going to work, or is like quite, soft humor going to work? What's going to work to get them to loosen up and kind of become relaxed enough to just play and have fun? Because on shoots, that's what it is. It's just about playing and having fun and, seeing what results you can get.
Yeah.
And I think, bringing that in is so important. I went on one shoot and we just spent the whole time doing shoulder shimmies and just roaring with laughter about it. I think everybody in Brighton thought we were absolutely crazy, shimming our shoulders and laughing at each other and taking photos. But,
if it works,
whatever works sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Completely.
Exactly. So Brighton is a wonderful location for shoots because you always get somebody jumping in. Can I have a photo too? I've got some crazy photos from Brighton.
It's a little far away from where I am, I'm afraid.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. What would be the number one tip you would give to people who are on the fence about having brand photography done?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Number one tip. I would say just jump in. Don't overthink it. But I'd say look for a photographer that you really, you love their work, because it really resonates you in some way, shape or form. And sometimes you don't really know what it is that speaks to you, but there's a photographer whose work you just like. You like looking at it and you like the kind of work that they produce. I'd say just get their guidance. Photographers are there to serve you and make sure that you are comfortable. So if there are areas of of your body or things you don't like about yourself, it's worth mentioning it to them. It's worth saying, well, I really hate my left side, or for me, it's having my hair tucked behind my ears. I hate having my hair tucked behind my ears. So it just gives the photographer the chance to remind you. And if they're just little things that they could do throughout the shoot that are going to help you look your best and feel your best, then definitely tell them. And the final tip is probably when you're on your shoot is to ask to see the back of the camera. There's amount of people that don't see the back of the camera and then are surprised when they don't get the images that they want. If you show, I always show my client the back of the camera and say, are we on the right track? Is this kind of what you were thinking? To let them see themselves through the camera lens and get comfortable with that as well, so that they can say, oh no, I hate my hair's tucked behind my ears, or whatever it might be. So I think if you're on the fence, I would just dive in, get it done, find a photographer that resonates with you and get to know them and make sure that you like them, because it is very much about that trust with the person that you're working with and that synergy between you, so that you can get the natural laughs, etc.
Yeah, that's great, because I think that's it. You need to make sure that they're going to work with you, and like you say, show you the photos halfway through, make sure you're on track, so they're not disappointed 6 weeks down the line when they get the photos back, or even going, hey, I like this stylist shoot, or I like the way this person's posed, and like pull them off Pinterest or wherever and go, this is the kind of feel I'm going for.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure there are some brand photographers out there who have a tunnel vision with the way they want things to go, and they will sort of take over and it will end up being something that's not what the client wanted.
Yes, and I think part of good brand photography is about actually really digging deep into who the person that you're working with is, what their, as we've talked about, beliefs and values and those sort of things, but also what their likes and dislikes, who they are as a person. And if you've got a photographer that really pays attention, they should be able to get your brand vibe. And as you say, using things like Pinterest are a great tool for kind of creating boards of things how you can pose as this person having the brand shoot, little things like that, the images you like, images you absolutely don't like, so that when you have a meeting with a photographer, you can say, this is the kind of thing I'm looking for, and this is what I absolutely do not want, so that you've got that slight control over what they're doing. But if you work with the right photographer, they should be able to shoot towards your brand and not bring with them their own. yes, they'll have their own knowledge and experience, but also be able to kind of take the photos that are more in keeping with you and your personality rather than doing their own thing. And my biggest tip is, if you are drinking a cup of tea in a photo, please, please, please make sure it's got tea in it. There's nothing worse than having a staged looking photo that's got no tea in it.
Put some tea in it.
Yes, absolutely. The number of photos I see of people drinking tea and coffee where there's no tea or coffee in the cup is devastating.
Makes you weep of an evening.
It makes me weep. It makes me cringe.
Just to put you on the spot here, if anyone's listening to you and thinking, you know what, this sounds like my type of person, how would they get in touch with you for querying brand photography?
Sure. So I've got my website, which I think you will have in the show notes. Yes. But I also am putting on a workshop on the 8th of August, which is a Monday at 1:00, which is actually a free workshop. And so they could come along to that just to get a taste of what I do and understand a bit more about brand photography and how it could help them. But the workshop's on how you use personal branding to raise your profile and attract the clients that you really want to work with. And it kind of gives you an action plan for the next 90 days of how you can do that so that you can get some more leads and things in your business. So I think the best thing would be to book onto a workshop, or just look me up and book a call with me and let's have a chat over a cup of tea.
And that workshop's free, you said. How awesome is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to give as much value as I can, so I share all my best ideas in there, and obviously there's an opportunity then to decide whether we're a good fit and you want to work with me, but you can also just take all those ideas and go and look for a photographer that's better suited to you. So it really is just a free vehicle that you can use just to help yourself in your business.
Yeah, and then, like we said before, that's kind of like what we were talking about when we want to attract people who gel with us and who get what we're trying to do, and the people who perhaps aren't a good fit for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, also you get different personalities. I don't know about you, but, you know, I've got kids in the playground as a minefield because some people gel with some personalities and some people don't. And that carries on throughout your life. Mm-hmm. There are always people that you're going to be attracted to. And I mean, I'll see a photo of someone and think, oh, she's a bit of me. You know, I could hang out with her. She looks like my cup of tea. But then I can also see a photo of someone and think, oh, I'm not so sure about her. Or even meet someone and think she's not really my type. You know, she seems fine, but
it doesn't even have to be a strong reaction either.
It's very, very slight, and you often don't know why you're having that reaction or why you formed that opinion. But I think it's just those subtle little nuances. So making sure that there is a synergy when you're having your photo taken, because if you're feeling awkward the whole time, you're not. That's going to come out in the photos. You need to be comfortable.
It's going to come across. Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why, you know, with my one-to-one clients, you know, where we have very close relationships with working together coaching, is I will not take anybody on who I've not spoken to first. I will set up a Zoom call, you know, half an hour just to make sure we're on the same page and we gel, because, you know, I don't want them feeling awkward and like they've made a mistake. And I don't want to be, you know, feeling negative before I then hop on a call with them, because that's not how I want to run my business. So like it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? So running this free program on the 8th of August, 1 p.m. you said.
Yeah.
That's British summertime as well. 1 p.m. British summertime is one of those ways to see for both of you.
If we get on and if
is this compatible?
Exactly.
Is this something?
Yeah. So and just gives them an opportunity to understand how they can improve their branding, even if we're not a good fit, you know. So I think
yeah, and you know what, even if you're not a good fit, they might know somebody who perhaps might be a good fit for you, and because of the value you've given, recommends you anyway.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on the show. I've got one more question I would like to ask.
Sure.
Yeah. So I like to ask my guests how they resonate with their inner being. So, you know, I call mine Unleash Your Inner Goddess. I feel like it's a goddess that's within me. But how do you relate to that inner person, inner being?
So for me, I've always called it my inner rock star.
Oh, I love that.
I love to sing in my car. If I am heading to a meeting or something that is, I need to step into that inner rock star, I will use music to kind of help me step into that persona.
What do you listen to?
Oh my goodness, so many different things. Seven Nation Army is my favorite at the moment. I've been listening to a remix and I'm just totally obsessed with it. My children have even started liking it, which is great. They're like, let's play it in the car.
That's a bonus.
Yeah. So, but another thing is I'll go for a quick walk and I'll do lots of like I'm winning a race, sticking my hands in the air and, and getting that kind of inner rock star out, so that when I step
like
pumped up and getting ready for that meeting or that call, because I think it's so important to come to your calls and I did it today on the way to this this recording, was just pumping myself and getting myself into that kind of mindset of, yes, let's do this, let's rock this, and that's who I step into anyway.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun chatting.
No, the pleasure is all mine. It's been great. Wasn't that episode awesome? We found out so much about what goes into branding photography, how that helps your business, some do's and some don'ts, a must-have tip, and I found out Pippa loves Seven Nation Army. Sounds like pretty much just as much as I do, so that's a bonus for me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did and you'd like to let me know, you can find me on Instagram at Sarah Joyce Hindle. I would love to know what you thought, and if you would like to be a guest, you can visit my website and fill in a form and I will get back to you. That will be in the show notes. As always, all of Pippa's information will be in the show notes, her website, how to get in contact with her, how to book onto that awesome free workshop. Have an absolute great day. Take care.